Hey everyone, my name is Danilo Petrovic.
I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Denis Kudla.
I'm Evgeny Donskoy.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I'm Peter Torebko, and you're listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans. Here we are for a podcast discussing something a little bit somber, I think. Unfortunately, Emma Raducanu, she did go out of Guadalajara in the first round in one of the longest matches, I think, in WTA history in the main draw. It's pretty incredible. It was 3 hours, 36 minutes before she eventually retired in her match versus Daria Saville due to injury. So, and we're here to discuss, like you can see in the title, what's the US Open a fluke? So, JG, I'm sure you've got some very big words to say about
Well, let's
this.
steady on, Ben, with that. We're not going straight into it. This is a Raducanu special podcast. Apologies for it coming so late. I know a lot of you have been waiting for it for a while. We're going to just talk about this match as an isolated incident to begin with, because she did lose. I don't know if you've got the tweets up.
Yeah.
So here we go. In the longest match of the 2022 season, Daria Saville earns her first WTA main draw win since the 2021 Australian Open after Raducanu was forced to retire at 5-7, 7-6, 4-3. And, okay, so the big thing to sort of point out here is she's retired again.
Well,
For me, I don't like the way this is going. Continuously her having to retire from matches and not finish them.
The second one she has, but anyway, go on.
What do you mean the second one?
Well, she didn't retire last one. She fought on till the end, remember? And she lost.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Okay. But there was still the injury concerns.
Yes, she had a blister.
At least she fought through that injury, but it wasn't, I don't know. Let's not talk about the blister, but with this isolated incident, it was a left hip injury, all right?
Yeah.
So she's had a left hip injury. Is it a case of she was up a break in the final set, got pegged back many times, should be beating someone like Daria Saville? I know she's been off of injury and coming back herself and not played too often. She is a good player when I don't know where she was in her career high, but she was a lot higher than what she is now.
Yeah, like top 40 at least.
A top 40 player, now 600. So it's not really a fair reflection of where she is. But still, Emma Raducanu, in my opinion, should be beating her. She's a big bookie's favourite. Everyone's expecting her to win. She had opportunities. I thought her game was one-dimensional, predictable, boring. I watched the match. I stayed up till very late, as you know, on Amazon Prime. I thought the commentary sort of matched the style of play. The people over in Amazon are terrible. The commentators. I don't know if people like them. I think some of them are quite good, but when they're covering Raducanu, it's intolerable. I physically can't watch it. Some of the things they say about her, it's just a little bit too much. And I think the only reason she's getting all of this big star treatment is not just because she's won the US Open, it's because she is British, number one. Obviously. And number two, she's a good-looking British young lady. So she seems to be worshipped by people like the commentators and things. Just call it as it is. We don't see this same kind of respect being given out to people like Iga Swiatek. She's won a Grand Slam.
Or Clyde
I feel like there's a lot. Yeah, but she's a bit older. I'm talking about more the younger, young guns, like teenagers. I think Coco as well. She gets criticised all the time, like really badly criticised. And I know two wrongs don't make a right. I'm not saying I don't think Raducanu should be like heavily criticised. I understand she's learning, developing, but the commentary is insufferable. It's just sufferable. I can't listen to it. It's terrible. It really winds me up listening to British commentators talk about Raducanu like she's just some God's gift. She won a Grand Slam. Listen, I think it's amazing. And the question on the podcast was, is it a fluke? I don't think you could ever really fluke a Grand Slam victory, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that, because you've got to win so many matches in a row, and it's very difficult on the body to be able to continuously do that day in, day out, and it's a real physical test, especially when there's crowds there as well. The pressure's on. She won their matches. She played extremely well at the US Open. But since then, listen, all of the stuff has happened as her becoming a star overnight. She's not a very good tennis player when she's a star. Since she's been a star, she's not been a very good tennis player. And I wanted to watch this match with sort of tried to isolate all of the people, like isolate all of the views, what everyone's saying about her, and just watch her for tennis value. And her tennis wasn't that good. It was just very predictable. You kind of knew what she was going to be doing every time, and Daria Saville just sussed her out.
Yeah. Well, this is the one thing that we were sort of alluding to when we finished the US Open. The thing with the US Open win, it was amazing.
Sorry, Ben, I know you're going to talk just quickly because that's just why I'm on a roll. Kay's saying here, Amazon commentators literally compared Iga's serve to Irani's week ago. There is a bigger jet. Like I'm really sick of it. I'm terribly sick of it. I don't want to name and shame these people because I respect they're doing their job. But the bias, the British bias for Raducanu stinks, and I've had enough of it. And I've got to call it out. I've got a platform to be able to say it. It's over the top. It's seriously over the top. Iga's getting this kind of treatment, whereas Raducanu, I feel like she could throw the racket into the crowd and kill the umpire, doing worse than what Zverev did, and everyone be like, "Oh, but it's all right. She didn't mean to do it. It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it." It seems like she's got some kind of different rules to everyone else.
Yeah,
that's the way they make it sound.
Well, they're all under the sort of this is a sort of a creation that the media have created, unfortunately, and this is what happens when somebody who is young, good-looking, and wins one of the highest level tournaments on the tennis tour. This is what Emma Raducanu managed to do in such. I still look back and I just think it's still crazy to me that she managed to win the US Open. Like she's not even played any tennis. It's just ridiculous to me that story that happened, her getting to that final, not dropping a set. I don't think you can even write that stuff in like fairy tales. It just doesn't add up. There's people who've been playing on tour for 10, 15 years who never even get the opportunity to even get to a final. And she managed to go all the way to the final and win it from qualifying and not drop a set. So she played the best tennis of her ability for a whole 2 weeks, that's what you have to do to win a Grand Slam. And you can't ever take that away from her. The thing is, it's not realistic to look at Emma Raducanu as, and I know this sounds a bit harsh, as a Grand Slam champion level for the rest of the tour year. I don't think you can look at her like that. I'm viewing Emma Raducanu as someone who's just entered the tour at the moment. That's the way I'm seeing her. I don't like the way the media are dressing her up. I don't like the way she's going to have sponsorship deals. She's a good-looking girl. This is what happens if you win one of these things. But I have to take it like match by match with her at the moment. And like we're seeing, I think that all of these injuries, I don't think she's used to playing in these sort of tough matches. I don't think she's used to playing against these tough players. I don't think she's used to going into the trenches over and over again, like and especially 3 hours, 36 minutes. I don't think her body is conditioned. That's what I personally think. She hasn't been on tour long enough to be conditioned. And now we're starting to see each match, it's sort of unraveling a little bit. And it doesn't mean that she won't become conditioned, but it seemed that the only way that she probably would have won that US Open would be in straight sets every single time, not with a 3 hour, 36 minutes, every single one of every single round. I don't think that would have been possible. She just did it the best way possible at the time. So it's just one of those things. It was one of those, it's like a glitch in the matrix, so to speak. When a player plays their best tennis like that, like another person, Ostapenko, when she won her Grand Slam, she has the ability to win multiple Grand Slams as well. But have we seen it? No. There's many other people who've only won one Grand Slam in their career as well. There's a sort of an endless list. Even someone like, I know that I'm going to be talking about other people now who are actually very, very highly ranked as well. People who are world number ones who only won one Grand Slam. People like Anna Ivanovic, people like that. Think about what she's done, Emma Raducanu, at such a young age and such an early part of her career. She's achieved something that people have literally been world number one and only managed to achieve one, and very well respected tennis players. It's a real hard thing to throw onto somebody, and you can't really judge her by anybody else as well. Because even if you look back to somebody, the closest person I'd say is maybe Sophia Kenin, maybe. We've seen her fall off a lot since, I think she got to the French Open final, but since then, we haven't really seen anything. And I know
That
you
was
give
all
me a
in the
lot
same year, though, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, yeah, I know you give me a lot of stick about it, but we're sort of seeing with her. She'd been on the tour longer, though, before she won that first Grand Slam. Raducanu's is completely different. We've never seen, for me, I've never seen anything like it before. That someone wins a Grand Slam that early, it's sort of it's a bit of a curse, I think. I think it's a bit of a curse on her because all the spotlight's on her all the time now. And unfortunately, if you don't win your matches, everybody's going to be doing podcasts on you and everybody's going to be speaking about you and you're going to be in the headlines for the wrong reasons.
Listen, Ben, my point is with this, the media frenzy, particularly in the UK, is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah,
and
it
I don't
is.
just mean media, I mean just everyone. It's just overboard.
Yeah,
she won a US Open. I
Yep.
understand what you've said about there's so many players in their career never win a Grand Slam. It's a brilliant achievement. Is it a fluke? You can't really say that. She deserved it because she played great tennis at that moment and she had a really good spell and was playing good tennis. Since then, though, what's happened?
Exactly.
Like, since then, she's been a different player. Since she's become a star, since she signed all the deals with Chanel and Nike and all of the other companies and all of these different things, get your money while it's good. I'm not criticizing her for it, but she's been a different player since. And I think her being this big, she's got an MBE. Is that right? Raducanu MBE?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, come on, Ben. It's just ridiculous. You go on the gambling sites. I'll never forget this. Straight after she won the US Open, you go on the gambling sites. For the next year, you was getting bets in the UK for Raducanu to win 2 or more slams, and it was like 4-1. It was like, it's crazy money. It's like, what are you talking about? She may never win a slam again. She may not even, I don't know, she might not even be able to get to a second week again. Like, it's just over the top. And I feel like we probably fed into it. Well, you definitely, maybe not so much me. You definitely fed into it all in the podcast with a lot of the hype you was sort of putting on here. But I can understand why you was doing it because a lot of that was coming from excitement.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I understand the excitement. We've not had that for so long in the UK. Someone who was able to do what she did, and it was special. So you can't really criticize people for the excitement of things.
No.
But I think now it's getting a bit over the top. Like, yesterday, I'm watching her against Daria Saville, and the commentary team are talking like she's God's gift. She's losing to Daria Saville. She should be winning. Why don't they come out there and say, not been good enough, really? I think she's playing really poor. I don't know what's happening with her. It's a really bad performance. Don't try and dress it up as if to say, trying to make it all sound all jolly and nice. It just sucks.
Well, I think hopefully everybody gets away from, because I'm more of a realist on the whole Raducanu thing. I'm excited because we've got somebody who's in the spotlight who's done well, but I'm sort of half on your sort of ship as well, where you're sort of saying she needs years to probably get back to that level again to be able to do it. And if
she's not dedicating herself, she got rid of her coach. We don't understand the reasoning behind that. That's fine. We don't even need to read into that too much. But for me, she's not entering enough tennis. I'm not seeing enough tennis stuff from her. I want to see her fighting and talking about tennis. There's too many interviews about other things and advertisers and all of these sponsorship, which is, you can't really criticize. Maybe I would have turned like that if I was a professional tennis player and you've got all these millions thrown at you. You don't know how long it's going to last. In the prime of her career, looking good, take it all in. But ultimately, we're a tennis channel and we want to talk about her playing tennis. The tennis has been terrible. And the worst part about the tennis is, for me, is that when she's losing in a way where she keeps having to like withdraw, or she goes in that last one of the Australian Open, she had a blister. Okay. Blisters can be quite tough. You can't really be too hard on that. I know some of the other players, you're looking at your Rafael Nadal, they'll play with blisters. Raducanu can't criticize that. It might have been quite bad, may have been worse than other players have had. In the press room, the first thing she says is, oh, my team were advising me not to even play this match. Sack the team then. Who's advising you to do that? It's a silly remark to make. Another thing, Morgan here saying, what do you guys think of the video of Emma with all that weight on her hips, where she's doing sort of them thrusts in the gym? What did you make of it?
I thought it was like too much weights, to be honest. I thought, why has she got so many? I think it's attention seeking. I genuinely do. I think
it is what it is. Maybe that's what people do nowadays, youngsters, and
Don't
especially
know.
sort of model like Instagram influencers. But ultimately, I just feel like it's a little bit of attention seeking to post that. That kind of is a bit of a weird pose to be doing. It's a bit of fun, but I don't know. I feel like there's I don't think her mind's focused on tennis.
She's probably
That's the
got
point I'm
somebody
trying to
running.
make.
She's probably got somebody running it for her.
Mate, she posts what she wants to post.
It has to be. It has to be run. Unfortunately, now you're
Post what
that
she
big.
wants.
She's got how many million people following her? That
She
is now
posts-
another.
She still posts what she wants.
That's another job, though. You got to remember, you've got to keep those people who are your fans. You've got to keep them happy. You've got to keep on feeding them content.
And not
as
just
well.
that. With that pose she was doing, like you said, there was a lot of weight on there. Has she hurt her hips now? Because she's pulled out with a hip issue.
I don't know if it's anything to do with that. I just think that the match was far too long for her. I don't think she's used to playing 3 hours and a half at all. I don't think that she's battle hardened on the tour. That's my personal opinion. I think that she's.
We know that, Ben. We know she's not battle hardened. She's hardly played on tour.
Well, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I'll keep going back to
too much from her. I'm not expecting her to
I'm
go
not
and win all these
expecting-
events. I said after the Australian Open, she's not going to after the US Open. She's not going to win a single event for 3 years. Single WTA 250, whatever you want to call it. She can even drop down to the challengers. She's not winning anything for the next 3 years. It's going to take her time to adjust. The way she is as a person doesn't mean she's not going to be a great player. Doesn't mean I'm not going to support her. Doesn't mean I'm not going to wish her well. Of course, I want her to do great. It'll be great for the channel, great for you as well. I know you're a big fan of her. And don't get me wrong, I like her when she's playing good. And I like her character. I like her maturity. I think the way she comes across is very good, especially US Open. That version of her was great. Post the US Open, some of the things she said, I found a bit questionable. Her performances have not been good enough. I don't know what's next, but let's move on to the next tweet. It was a good one.
I think we just got to wait and see what the future holds. I think. Anyway, let's move on to this one. Emma Raducanu has played 10 tour level events, yet already numerous physical issues. The breathing issues at Wimbledon, the illness in Cluj, blisters at the Australian Open, and a hip injury in Guadalajara. Some bad luck, and today's retirement came after by far her longest tour match, but feels notable.
There's too many injuries, Ben. There's too many things going on. And I know you can say, oh, it's a bit unfortunate, but how much do we believe these hip injuries?
Yeah, but
you look at that and think she was generally injured? I'm not sure. We can never. I hate going down this avenue because all of the time we're just guessing, and you can never really say for sure. But if I had to put my money on something, if someone said, "You've got this money, you need to guess either way. Which way do you think it is? Do you think she was injured in Guadalajara when she pulled out, down 4-3 after being up a break?" I would say no. I don't think she was.
Why?
You're telling me you thought she was generally injured. I thought she just bowed. She bowed on the situation.
No,
things were getting worse for wear, and she looked at it and thought,
she didn't.
You know what?
She didn't look like she could move around the court. She looked like she was physically struggling. I know, but then you're negative Nelly, aren't you? You're looking at everything through like a half glass.
You got to call
empty.
it as how you feel. That's how when I saw the incident, I was watching it live. That's how I felt.
Yeah, I watched it back. I watched it all unfold. It didn't look like she was struggling with her movement on the court, and then she could barely move to actually be able to get in a position to be able to hit a shot. She even hit some good winners with compromised movement after she came back after the medical timeout. But that was just for the fact Saville was hitting it to her, not into the open court. But for me, I just think that it's just going to take a little bit of time, and something that I have alluded to in the past as well. Some players' bodies aren't as strong as other players as well, and I think that looking at her frame and looking at the like her type of body, maybe she is more susceptible to injuries. Maybe she is like a bit more fragile on the tour, and that's possible. Look at how she won her US Open. She won it by blitzing everybody. She didn't win it from long, drawn-out slugfests over the course of 3.5 hours for 7 matches, did she? So this is what I mean. Maybe that's her way that she does win. When she's successful, she blitzes people. Maybe she's not successful.
You mean when she's not injured, she'll never lose a match? Is that the way you think?
No, I'm not saying that when she's
she'll
injured.
never lose a match. But
I'm saying
if she's a fully fit Raducanu, she's a world beater.
No, but I'm saying she may only stay fully fit if she gets people done quickly. Because if the longer the matches go on, then maybe like her body can't take the pounding that tennis really gives to it. And that's what I mean. Certain players can't take it. That might be a possibility because every player or every human is structured differently. And we see the problems people have. And I hope that's not the case. I hope it's just, there's part of me that's just thinking it's just going to be a bit more like, when you get like a blister, you have to really get a few more. You have to make it so your hand's just hard. Now I can't get any more. Now my hands are battle hardened. Now my hip, I've been through the wars. It's healed. Now it's twice as strong. She's just going to keep going through it and hopefully getting stronger and stronger. And then we're going to see the real woman that is Raducanu come out in maybe, like you say, 2 years, maybe 3 years.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I can't say what I'm saying with certainty. That I know for a fact that she wasn't injured because who am I to know that?
Yeah,
I'm just saying the jury's out. I have a bit of a weird inclination. I'm interested to see what happens in a few more future events. Hopefully, we don't start seeing other incidents very similar to this.
Yeah, I hope not.
Especially when you're up a break in the third, things are looking good. All of a sudden, things aren't looking so good, and then an injury starts to appear. I mean, we see it all the time. It's not Raducanu. A lot of sports stars do it, but they don't often pull out. They'll just sort of take a medical time out, release the pressure off them for a bit and reset and go again. She didn't opt for that. So maybe it is a complete legit injury, but the jury's certainly out. It did seem a bit shady to me.
Possible. The one thing that we know is we don't want her to be on the list of the one-time Grand Slam champions. But even if she does stay just on the list of one-time Grand Slam champions, she's still on an elite list for the rest of her life. That's the thing. She's with the likes of, somebody who's even coming back to form now, like Ostapenko, Sloane Stephens, Andreescu at the moment, Kenin.
Yeah. But do any of them players you've just mentioned receive the same amount of hype as Raducanu does?
Andreescu probably does, yeah.
What, then one-time Grand Slam champion? So Andreescu gets the same as what Raducanu does right now? I think it's another level, Ben. I'm going to say a wild statement. I genuinely think Raducanu gets the same amount of love as Serena Williams right now. And that's not right.
No, come on.
I'm telling you now, from what I've seen, it's just the people like
that's ridiculous.
No, I'm telling you now, Ben. There's hysteria around her.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's
because
just in the UK.
Yeah, but it's
maybe it's just because I'm in the UK. Serena Williams deserves everything. She is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, but do you not see that's from media, mate? It's media, but that's what they do, mate. That's why everything. Why do you think on the front of all these magazines, everywhere, all your newspapers, your TV shows, your adverts, they're all full of like beautiful women? And why do you think that they jumped on the chance? Oh, a beautiful girl wins a Grand Slam. Guess what? You're now plastered over everything. Like now for probably the rest of your life. And she's had people stalking her, the poor girl. People nicking her dad's shoe or something. What's going on? Guys.
Good point here from Holly. Yeah, I appreciate you saying this. That is not Emma's fault.
No, it's not her fault.
It's not her fault. The hysteria which is around her. I do feel like sometimes with the things she does, she plays into it since the US Open. But then, who wouldn't? If there's an opportunity there, why not? I don't think it's too bad, and she does come across very mature. And you can't really get too onto her for that. I agree. But there was something else someone said. We've got Ken Lee in. Appreciate the super chat off stream.
Oh, cheers, Ken.
Means the world. He says, Ben is becoming... Are you ready for this?
Go on, then.
Ben is becoming... What's it say? As rabid about Emma as we are of Rafa. Difference is Rafa has earned all of it.
I don't think I am at all. I think that's a ridiculous comment, Ken. Interesting. Appreciate the super chat, but yeah, I disagree.
And Kathy had something to say. Let's see if I can find it. Yes, injuries are an excuse to not technically lose. I'm kind of on the same page as Kathy. That's what I'm kind of feeling is happening. But the jury's out. We need to wait and see.
I don't think it even matters if she does lose, though.
Well, it does to her. I think that's the issue. I think she's placed too much emphasis on the thought of her losing. It seems like she's too scared to lose. I think she should accept that at this stage, this transitional period, without the experience she's got, that she's going to lose from time to time. But I do think there's a way of losing, and I think she definitely needs to. Her focus doesn't seem to be on the tennis, and I'm not seeing anything from the practice courts or training or what she's doing or talking about tennis. I want the focus to be back on that, and it just doesn't. Seems to be very distant. It's like a second job.
I think that you're going to have to give her some time for it all to die down a bit. It's still pretty fresh. Until we've even gone past and had another US Open champion, she remains the US Open champion until there is another.
Let's not talk about Raducanu playing tennis then. Why don't we just talk about all the stuff she does off the court and everything else? Because if we're a tennis
most people
podcast,
are doing.
Well, why don't we just do that then? We never talk about when she's in a draw. We just talk about what clothes she's wearing or what's happening in her life.
We can always talk about.
We'll just do our latest Instagram followers. How many Instagram followers?
You can just come to Game to Love for a more realistic approach on how we view Emma Raducanu's progress through the year. That's probably the better way to look at it. We're not going to feed you rubbish and just tell you that she's God's gift, because at the moment she isn't. That's just a fact. She's playing tennis against players who are better than her at the moment. And I think even someone like Saville on her day is probably at the moment better than Raducanu. And that's just sadly how it is. She's been a good player in the past. And even like players like, what were you saying? Rybakina, like miles above her, really, at the moment.
Raducanu, what she's capable of, because we've seen her playing her best at the US Open, she's a good tennis player. I'm not just saying that lightly. I think she is a really good tennis player. We're just not seeing that same level. And I think a lot of it is, I see one-off shots, because I was watching the match yesterday. One-off shots was quite good from her, like here and there. There's a lack of consistency and there's lack of ideas. And it seems like her tactics are just all over the place. She's playing like she's not playing intelligently anymore.
No, she's wasn't doing that in the
She's kind of lost
Australian
her game
Open.
plan. I'm not sure what she's doing.
In the Australian Open, it was the same. Remember, against Sloane Stephens.
That's the issue. So it's not an ability thing, this isn't, because we know she's got ability because she's shown it.
Well,
this is not an ability issue. This is more of a mental thing and being able to produce it. And I'm not sure if it's just mental in terms of the pressure. I think it's maybe her attitude in terms of how much does she really want to go and win in Guadalajara? Or not how much does she want to win? How much has she put into it to win? It's all good and well saying, I really want to win this match. But how much work have you done into preparing for this match? Has she studied Saville? Has she really looked into what her weaknesses? Does she know what she's going to be able to exploit? Is her focus the tennis?
We don't know, do we? This is the problem.
That's the question. I'm not sure if it is.
And this is it. And I definitely agree with the tactics thing, because we know against Sloane Stephens in the first round of the not US Open, always do that, Australian Open, she bageled her in the first set, was playing well. Then she decided, I'm just going to hit it all to the backhand all the time. And Sloane's like, all right, yeah, I've worked that one out now. I'll take the second set. Then in the third set, guess what? She used the whole court, and then she actually mixed up her tactics and won the third set. So there is definitely a mental block there, I think, with changing tactics and that type of thing. Almost like I don't know, I don't want to say like feels like she can just walk onto the court and just play however she wants and she'll just get the win, because I think she's found that isn't the case. Because she
should have done this though, Ben. We've got let me see if I can find it. Oh, it's gone now. It's gone too quick. Oh, here we go. Eye color check. At 4-3 in the third, Emma could have stayed on the match until the end. It would have been over in 5 minutes. Do you agree?
Yeah, but then you can say that for some other people as well. But then if you are compromised in your actual movement, do you just let them serve and you just let it go past you? It's like one of those, like you could, like I've seen players just stand there and they just serve and then they don't run after it. And
well,
they just try.
Try your best, well, like Medvedev did when he had cramp and he won the match.
Yeah, but it's not cramp though. If it's an actual like hip injury, you don't want to run on it. There's no point running on something that might cause more injury. Like if this means that she was to miss like one of the big tournaments coming up, like Indian Wells and something like that, then it's totally pointless. So she may as well have just dropped out when she did. But she got the strapping and stuff like that. I don't think it really even helps the medical timeout, to be honest. Don't think it really did her that much good.
Let's go to the next tweet. But before we do, we've got Faisal here saying Emma Stalker may have affected her. Do you think that plays a part in what's happening at the moment?
I think it must be scary. Like, just think, like you've gone from pretty much nobody. You're a nobody this time last year. No one was talking about you. And now you've got people who are literally stalking you, which is very scary. I don't like the thought of that at all. I think that's her family as well going through this with her. Imagine, it must be so scary for them that their daughter is now like sort of under a constant.
Well, I think they moved house. I think they had to move house to some gated community to avoid it, because they had to move out their family home. And yeah, there's no place for that. It's completely terrible. Hopefully they lock the guy up. I think they found him.
I think he's got 5 years. What is it like? What do they call
lock
it?
him up. There's too many weird people in this world, and I think he's just one of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Another one.
Very, very odd. I'll move on to the next one. So yeah, so this one says tough times never last, but tough people do. This is from Emma Raducanu fans. You believing in that? Good statement.
Well, I did send it to you just to try and make the podcast a little bit more balanced. So I thought you could explain this one. I think, well, I'll say my piece. Tough times never last, but tough people do. I mean, how tough is she?
Well, I think you should replace.
She was pretty tough at the US Open, but since I've not seen enough toughness on the court.
Well, I tell you what. Sorry to interrupt. You want to take that picture off and put Rafa there. That's what you want to do, because that is the epitome of Rafa Nadal after the Australian Open. That is pretty much true. Come on, I mean,
Vance says if she's tough, then finish the match.
This is what I mean. But is she physically tough though? That's what I mean. Is she mentally or physically? Which one is the side which is letting her down? I don't know at the moment. Or is it both?
I don't know. Let's move on from that one.
Yeah. The
She's
next one.
tough.
Yeah.
This is Chris Goldsmith. People don't know. I think he's a big tweeter on Twitter. He might come on the podcast sometime from the UK. He has a lot to say. I don't think he's too keen on Djokovic. A bit too much at times, if I'm honest, but we can talk to him about that on the podcast. And he says, Daria Saville, horrid first words in press conference, says she won it for fighting hard and didn't wish Emma Raducanu well or say anything nice after the on-court interview. Viewer asked her about Emma. Horrid after a long match, lost a bit of respect for their Australian. Right off the bat, why does Saville have to say something nice about Raducanu?
I don't understand.
Why. Saville's beating her. Raducanu pulled out. Why does Saville have to say something nice to her? She's just beaten her.
I didn't like the way that the question went to her. It was the first question of the after.
All the questions were focused about Raducanu still.
It's like,
it's too much.
Daria,
it's over the top.
It's like, well done on your win. I bet you've got some things you'd like to say about Emma Raducanu and her performance and how she battled through or something. That's not how you start an interview with the winner of the match. If she wants to say, oh, that was a great match by Emma, I wish her all the best, let her say that. Don't bring Emma Raducanu up in the post-match interview just in the first sentence. I don't know. I thought it was a bit off, really, from the interviewer.
Yeah, a bit strange. I'm not sure why Chris is taking this stance as well. I think he's a big Raducanu fan. A lot of people in Britain are. But you've got to be honest and realistic. I don't feel like Saville had to say anything there.
She didn't have to. I think she should have still, though. But she doesn't have to.
What do you mean? What should she have said?
I think at the end she could have just said something like, "Oh, it was a great match. Emma's a tough competitor," or something like that. And I wish her well with that. Hopefully she recovers soon, or something like that. Something nice like, hopefully her injury is not too bad, and we see her back on the tour soon. Like she didn't say anything. She literally just didn't talk about her one bit, and she just said that she was just so happy. Obviously, just been married, that type of thing, and now she's happy. She had it was called a special ranking, I think. This one, not a protected one. It was just because obviously she was Daria Gavrilova, now married to Luke Saville. So quite exciting. Now she's a dual national, Russian and Australian.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
So this is this is for you, Ben.
No, I don't.
Ben at the top as well. Emma Raducanu has basically reached the pinnacle of tennis and achieved more than 99% of players. She's gone from nothing to world fame at 19, and I'm seeing no marks. So at home abusing her for getting injured. Absolute weirdos.
Well, and that's in answer to that. Emma Raducanu fakes injuries when she isn't doing good and then blames it on mental health. The streets are aware of her antics.
I mean, that's too much. I don't think she blamed it on mental health. You've taken it too far. It lost me there completely. I don't believe it was genuine injury. But I can't say that with too much conviction because we don't know for sure. But I do have the jury's out for that. I've already spoke about it. Wind the podcast back regarding that.
Yeah.
But talking about this, I mean, you've got to put it into perspective. We can't be too harsh on the girl. I feel like I've already have been. But in terms of she is still very young. She's still learning the trade. it's just something a bit fishy at the moment. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's it. Well, anyone can dress it up, but it is difficult. The problem is we're looking at everything after the US Open or after the Wimbledon results, and no one's looking back like to some of her results, say, what was it before then, to see like obviously she lost to Harriet Dart in the tournament before Wimbledon, and no one's going back to like that tournament to say like, is this the level she's actually at? Or she lost to like Heather Watson in the exhibition tournament leading up to that as well. There's like she hasn't always been beating like the best opposition. She has been losing to some people who aren't that high rated, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think some people saying in the chat she's in essence quit the other day, and I kind of agree with that as well. I feel like it was just a very quitter's mentality, and she just thought, "Sod this, it's not going well. I'm not winning this match," and pulled out. Shout out to the new member who's the savage now.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us. I guess you're the savage. And Vance for the super chat saying, "We know
Cheers,
Emma's in
Vance.
stocks. Did she buy media stocks?" Well, I know where you're going with that. And Gary's saying, "Sorry, I meant to say it's too soon to draw conclusions. Of course, she is extremely young."
Yeah, I think so.
Next one.
On to the next. This is Jay on Twitter. I said John. Jay on Twitter. Yeah, people calling Emma Raducanu a one-hit wonder annoys me so much. She's only 19. This is her first time on the WTA tour for a full season. She's still learning and growing. Totally agree with that. I don't think that is like inaccurate in any way. I think it's true. There's no proof that she's a one-hit wonder at all. Yeah, she's been on tour for 6 months.
I'm not saying that. Like I said, don't think she's going to win anything in the recent future. What's coming up, like the next few years? Potentially, she could grow and focus on her tennis again. But it's not looking great. I feel I've seen so many different things I can sort of point out, and I've spoke about a lot of them already on this podcast, which highlights for me her focus is a bit away from the tennis, and that doesn't bode well for a career. You need to be fully on your game. You need to love the game. You need to breathe the game, and you need to put everything into it. If you want to be one of the top dogs, if you want to be one winning Grand Slam after Grand Slam and have the motivation to keep going, because it's tough to win. You got to remember, and especially when you keep winning, do you know how tough it is to continuously, time and time again, go back into an event after you've just won one and find the motivation to go again and think, you know what, I know I've won it, but what does that mean? I need to go prove myself time and time again. And then people already preparing, like players preparing tactics based off watching your previous wins on how to beat you. You then need to overcome that as well and maybe mix up your game and change things around. It is challenging. Does she have what it takes to be able to do that? Time will tell. Right now, I'm not looking good. Don't think it's going to be the case. And for me, I just feel like something needs to change drastically with her attitude.
But the one thing that everybody said that has always been right is the toughest thing isn't getting to the top, it's staying there. And that is that's the hardest thing. Like, she's got to the sort of the top of the mountain at the first time of trying to climb Everest. She's already got to the summit. And now it's almost like everyone's expecting her to climb every other mountain now with the same amount of ease. Unfortunately, it's not that easy because you've got like now everybody else knows her. She doesn't really know any. That's the other thing we haven't really said. Everybody else probably has studied or watched her throughout the US Open, sort of knows her game a bit now. She's been televised.
Her game's not the same, Ben. It's changed a lot.
I know, but they could probably pick apart.
No, it's completely different. Seems like she's not got much idea at the moment.
Yeah, but her weaknesses.
There's spells of there's flashes of real good shots. I think, wow, that's a really good. I like what she did there. Great, good power.
No consistency.
Solid. It's just not consistent enough. But let's keep going through these because there's not much more to say. I feel like I've said everything.
Yeah,
I can.
Okay, so just onto this. I think this is the last one.
So just watched extended highlights of Raducanu. Saville, deep breath. It's painful. Finally, someone said it as it is. I respect Amy Lundy for this. Great that someone is just saying it as it is. I hate all of the wishy-washiness, especially the media, and particularly Amazon Prime commentary. I've had enough of it. It's too much. And it's painful. Hitting that much forehand open stance as she does without variation, close to the baseline in high altitude, is impossibly tough on the body. This tournament was the worst possible thing for her.
And that's the
Maybe
other
she should
thing.
have gone somewhere else. She chose to go. She chose to go to this event as the number 1 seed. She could have easily gone to Qatar and been in the mix, playing against some better opponents. But she chose to come here. You'd have to think to maybe have a little run, maybe play a bit more tennis. That was the reasoning behind it.
Nice
I'm going to go to
holiday.
Guadalajara. No, don't be silly, Ben. I'm not saying that at all. I think she chose to come here to have a better run, being the number 1 seed. Probably the favorite. I don't know, the bookie's favorite, maybe, to win the whole thing.
No, not after Madison. Probably Madison Keys, I reckon.
Yeah, but she was up there as a favourite to win the whole thing, and yet she's gone out first round against 600 in the world.
Yeah, well, I don't think we can call her. I don't think that's a realistic
That's the fact.
ranking.
That's what happened, though.
It is the facts. I think that's something that not enough people have pointed out, and well done to Amy Lundy to talk about that high altitude as well. She's not used to play. She's going to have to get used to playing in all different altitudes, all different conditions, all different surfaces, indoors, outdoors, everywhere. Grass courts, clay courts, they're coming up at some point soon. That's going to be interesting. We're going to start to see what type of player she is on all different surfaces at all different altitudes. It's going to be interesting. I want to find out what's her best service. Is her best service Wimbledon or the US Open? Is that just where she excels?
Wimbledon could be terrible. It could be unwatchable. It could no. I'm not saying about her performances. I'm saying the whole frenzy around it. It's going to make it sickening to watch.
Of course, it will be like that.
It's going to be far too much.
She can be on centre court,
and this is where I actually feel terribly sorry for her. I feel really sorry for you, Emma. It must be so tough. And I don't know how you're going to be able to compete at Wimbledon because the frenzy is going to be insane. I just hope she's got good people around her who just protect her from it all and just don't listen to anyone. I think she just goes there, just tries her best and see how it goes. But I would just like to see her a bit more focused on what she's doing.
Yeah, who was it at the Australian Open? Maybe go down that route that they got rid of their phone, didn't know social media.
Was it Kanepi?
Can't remember. It was one of them anyway. And
no, it was one in
Collins.
American Collins.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That seemed to work. Maybe that's the route she needs to take if she comes to Wimbledon. Just get rid of that mobile phone for a couple of weeks, and then we might see a different Emma Raducanu. Who knows? But yeah, the last bit was just showing the actual match score and the point by point. Just maybe have a look at the stats just so you can see down there. We got Emma on the left, Saville on the right there. 9 double faults to 10 double faults there. I suppose a long match. Can't really be too.
Can't read too much into any of these stats so far. Seems okay to me.
Pretty even.
Yeah, pretty even. Points, max points in a row. Raducanu had a little spell. I don't know. Not much really.
One more points.
Total points won. It says 50-50. Oh, okay, but the 2 more points. It was a very close match, but like I said, Daria Saville, I know you're sort of saying she's top 40 player, but
not at the moment.
She's not that.
She's not a top 4. She's not a top 40 player now.
She is 600 in the world, and I think even when she's sort of back and start playing more regularly, I can see her probably around the 100 mark.
I think this is where it's sad, though.
She's obviously much bigger than that.
She's obviously, well, like you can see here, obviously the first set 7-5, then we go into the second set, up 3-love in the second set, then sort of pegged back, then just constant breaks of serve. And then, as you can see there, going all the way to the wire. And then, unfortunately, just not able to do it. And then, wasn't it similar in this? She got the early break in that third set as well. And she had the opportunities. That's just it. The opportunities were there, but she couldn't take them. And she's maybe she's going to have to she's going to have to learn how to become more clinical, I think, in second sets. If she's a set up, she might just have to start thinking, going to have to start being smarter, going for shots a bit more risk, I think, because like you were saying, bit passive some of the rallies. She's just happy just to go in, back and forth with no real sort of game plan. And I think that's something, if she does correct that, there's the ability's there. We know it's there. Just come on. You can't just show glimpses of greatness in matches because it only wins you the odd game here and there. You can't win a match like that.
Exactly, and not a tournament as well.
No.
But thanks everyone for joining us. If you haven't already, hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you're new. I know we've got people asking us what matches we're going to be covering next. I'm not sure, to be honest. I know we've got a busy week coming up with work, so we're going to have to play it by ear and try and cover what we can when we can. So stay tuned on the channel. Hit the bell if you haven't to be notified when we go live. Like I said, like and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow for some kind of podcast or watch along or something.
We will indeed. See you then, guys.
See you then.